We are sitting down with Dr. Nick this morning to talk about self-care. Do you ever feel like you're taking care of everyone else but yourself? Or if you're taking care of yourself, are you being indulgent? Are you going wild?
What we want people to know, Whitney, is exactly what you started off with. Self-care is not self-indulgence. That's a great phrase. It doesn't mean I'm going to do whatever I want. Self-care is about self-discipline, self-control, self-regulation. But it's also about exactly what you said. I've got to think of myself in this world. I call it, again, being on my own ship and navigating my ship and no one else's. And I got to take care of my ship because I'm going to come into storms and beautiful weather. That's self-care. Just quickly, I was thinking about the vacation that I took. I had to figure out what to do with the cell phone. Because I didn't want to be tied to that phone, but I knew that it was a part of my life. So I kind of decided that I would check it in the morning and then in the evening. Now, and some people may say, how do you do it? That's my self-care.
But you wouldn't do that during the week when you're in town, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay,
I wouldn't. And
you were making me nervous.
But I do turn it off like around 9:30 at night because that's self-care. You know I do. Self-care is about taking care of oneself. And I also want to remind people, whenever I'm feeling like your feelings are more important than mine, I'm probably a little bit too focused on you.
Which means I'm a little too codependent.
That's a great word. And we need to just balance it out. I care, you care. Living in this world means how do we live it in common? Sharing space. You live in a house with family.
Right. Well, and I think we all struggle with, am I being too selfish? Am I giving too much of myself? You've said to me, Whitney, you give so much of yourself, there's going to be nothing left.
Yes, I have said that. And I do think that part of the problem is we fall into that false guilt and say, when I take care of myself, I'm being selfish. And that is not of God, period. Let's
talk more about that. When we feel selfish, it's probably false guilt, and it's not of God.
I can only speak primarily from my experience. And my experience is that the more that I have over the years taken care of myself, the less guilt I have felt. Because I'm not going to be good to people that I serve if I don't breathe in, if I don't get nourishment, if I don't get rest, if I don't get the proper care and relaxation. I want to live a life of ease.
But isn't that a hard balancing act?
Of course it is, and that's what the human journey is. When people say, Nikki, you're nuts, I'm like, of course I'm nuts, I'm human. I'm living on the edge. I'm trying to balance care for others and care for self. You know that as a mother. You know that. How do I balance work with my husband and my children and my social life and all these needs that you have?
Right. And it can be overwhelming.
It can be, which is why you're getting a little bit more self-care these days, I hope.
I am. I'm getting a little more sleep.
That's one path. And you look great, so, and you know that's always what matters. Well, it is. My mother would, when she would feel down, she would take care of herself and get pretty.
Oh, nice. My mother never got down, and that's one thing I struggle with. My mother never stopped. It was always about everyone else.
Wow, interesting history. Interesting history.
And I think that's part of the reason I battle it.
And part of the reason why it's your natural tendency to do it.
And that's why you get on me about it.
You're not far from the tree.
Well, thanks, Nikki, because I think we all needed to hear that. Self-care, so we can be more of service to others and be around longer for them to enjoy us.
Very true.
Thanks so much. We're